Hello everyone and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we are talking about the things that I wish I had known before I started learning Salesforce. So if you're just starting out on your Salesforce journey, or if you're thinking about learning Salesforce this year, then these are some of the things that I wish that I had known before I started. So let's jump straight into it. Number one, the first thing I wish that I had known is that practice exams aren't everything. When I was very used to studying for other exams at university or exams that I'd done through other programs where you could basically just go through practice exams and work out enough to pass. This was not the same for Salesforce, and I've seen this with so many of our other students as well, that the real way to pass your first Salesforce exam is to get as much time spent in Salesforce as you possibly can. So my advice is always, don't ignore the practice exams. You can still do them, but use the practice exams more as a launching pad for actually going and doing the stuff that they're asking you in that question in your Salesforce org. And I find that if you're focusing on just having more and more time spent in Salesforce, then you're going to have a way better outcome in your actual exam. So, number one, practice exams aren't everything. Make sure that you're spending as much time doing super badges, projects, just time spent in Salesforce as you possibly can. The second thing that I wish that I had known before I started Salesforce was that a certification does not equal a job. Now, this can be kind of hard to hear or quite counterintuitive, but I've seen and experienced this myself and seen many of our students go through it as well, where you get your certification and then there's kind of this expectation that that's going to be a golden ticket into a job, when actually there's a lot that you need to do yourself to get you through that first interview process and into that first entry-level Salesforce job. A lot of it comes down to how confident you are selling yourself in interviews, how well you can communicate what you've learned, the amount of, again, real-world experience or project experience you've done. But at the end of the day, your certification is a fantastic way to gain the skills that you need, but it is not the golden ticket into a job. The market is becoming more competitive, and while it's still a fantastic industry to get into, 100%, you've still got to expect to put in some hard work in order to get that first job. The third thing that I wish I had known when it comes to Salesforce and when you start to learn Salesforce is that consistency is more important than cramming. I see a lot of students trying to cram for their Salesforce exam, and there's just too much detail that you need to know. There's too many things that you need to be familiar with. So the best way that you can study for a Salesforce exam is to consistently be using the platform over a longer period of time instead of trying to cram everything into a few days. Now, this is often because the exam asks you very specific questions. Everyone thinks, multi-choice, it's going to be a piece of cake. But actually the exam questions are very detailed and often they're a little confusing to read, especially if English isn't your first language. So the more time that you can spend consistently practicing in Salesforce, the better off you're going to be, because it's just a huge platform, and when you're first getting started, there's so much that you need to learn. Please do not try and cram for the exam. Instead, make sure you've just put in the hours. Probably give yourself, if you're starting from absolute scratch and you're not using Salesforce in your job, maybe 4 to 6 months to actually pass this exam. And the final piece of advice that I'm going to give, which I wish I had learned before I started my Salesforce journey, was that so many more people fail the exam first time than what you might think. Of course, you don't hear about all the times that people fail. No one is really going out and posting on LinkedIn, yeah, I failed my exam first time. But it happens really, really often. Some of the best, most talented Salesforce people I know, they failed their first exams, and maybe they failed them a few times. The exams are designed to be quite tricky. That's why it's a good achievement if you pass them. But with that kind of trickiness, that level of difficulty, you've also got to remind yourself that it is a hard exam. There's a lot that you have to learn, and that if you don't pass it first time, that doesn't mean that you're stupid or that this career isn't for you. I failed my exam first time and I've gone on to create an amazing career out of it. And I would really encourage you, if you have failed your exam the first time, to not give up, to know that when you study for it again, you're only becoming better and better and better. And at the end of the day, it's your skills in Salesforce that matter the most. And the exam is just a tool that you can use to motivate you to increase your skills. So don't worry if you're failing an exam or if you've failed an exam. You can definitely keep doing this. It is like pretty normal for most people to fail the first time. So keep going, keep studying, and it's well worth it when you finally get it. That feeling, there's nothing else quite like it. Awesome, so that's my tips for starting your Salesforce journey. It's what I wish I had known before I started learning Salesforce. Hopefully they're useful to you. If you're watching this and you've already started your Salesforce journey, it would be really cool if you could just comment below what your own tips are, what you wish you had learned, and we can all try and learn from each other and get through this first Salesforce chapter. So thank you so much for coming along, and we'll see you next time.